Well, thanks a lot for staying with us here on Sunrise Live on E on this Hope Day Wednesday. We're now under the theme Together Moving the Public Service Forward. We belong, we care, we serve. That's the Department of Public Service and Administration, which has launched the Public Service Month. The purpose of Public Service Month is to access the three spheres of government service delivery points and emphasize the Batupili notion. So to elaborate more on this, we are joined in our Cape Town studios by the Director General for the Department of Public Service and Administration, Mashwahle Diphofa. Now, of course, we do invite you at home, as always, to participate in conversation with us. Remember to leave your comments on our Facebook as well as on our Twitter pages. Mashwahle, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, obviously, looking at the purpose and significance of Public Service Month, it happens annually. So exactly when we're looking at the various focal points that are going to be articulated this year, what are you hoping to achieve?
Well, the key thing during Public Service Month is to celebrate the role that the public service is playing in the lives of South Africans. And as part of celebrating that, we want to talk about its achievements, its successes. We want to talk about its challenges. We want to talk about recommendations and solutions to take the process forward. And that's really what we are trying to achieve with the Celebrating Public Service Month this year in 2016.
Well, obviously, looking at the various challenges as well as one would say the strides that have been attained by public servants worldwide, one would say that even when it was launched, I think it was in August, that we had the Minister, who was speaking about how innovation needs to come to the centerfold, especially when it comes to public servants. It can no longer be seen as an optional extra. So in terms of innovative practices to ensure that service delivery does happen speedily, how are we faring so far?
Well, I think to underscore the importance of innovation in the public service, viewers out there might know that government has established a Center for Public Service Innovation, whose role it is to facilitate, promote, encourage innovation in the public service. And we see a lot of those kinds of things happening already. Departments, some of them are winning awards for the innovations that they introduce. Some of the viewers might know, for example, that recently the Department of Health won an innovation award for excellent service delivery through a project called Mom Connect, where they register pregnant mothers throughout the country and use an SMS platform to ensure that they can communicate with each single one of them at every stage of their pregnancy to communicate important messages and what they should be doing, at what stage they should be going to clinics and so on. This is just an example, but there's a whole lot more that is happening out there in the public service. And the institution that has been established, the Center for Public Service Innovation, is there to encourage and support such innovation in the public service.
Okay, we understand the supporting and encouraging aspect, but we want to know that is it being implemented in terms of nationwide? And I appreciate the fact that you're using the Department of Health and as example to this. But what about the outside? What about individuals that want to introduce innovative products to various departments? Are they given an opportunity to actually pitch those and also possibly be utilized? Or is it still a very exclusive sort of network of people whose innovative ideas are being utilized? Okay, we seem to have lost our guest this morning, Mashwahle, joining us from our Cape Town studios. We seem to have a bit of a break in transmission. Do not fret, though. We're going to take a quick break. When we continue, we will hopefully would have secured that line, and we continue with the conversation, looking at the purpose and the significance of Public Service Month. Do stay with us.
Do you under...
Well, if you just joined us on this Wednesday morning, welcome to Sunrise. Well, what we did a little bit earlier on was to engage with the conversation about Public Servants Month. We are joined from our Cape Town studios by the Director General of Public Service as well as Administration, looking at Mashwahle Diphofa, who's going to be shedding some light in terms of the mandate of this month, and also are we making ways and ends meet, especially with addressing some of the community-related grievances. Mashwahle, hopefully we can hear you much bit better as it is right Now, when we're looking at Public Servants Month, many individuals and community members will be complaining about the attitude of some of the public servants when you go to the various departments. How then do you start addressing those issues quite effectively?
Thank you, Faith. Yes, we are aware of that because when we go around and talk to communities and talk to public servants and visit service delivery sites, members of communities do share these experiences with us. What we do is, firstly, we address public servants themselves and emphasize the importance of practicing and adhering to the Batubili principle of courtesy, that we can't work with members of communities with an attitude that is unbecoming of Batubili principles, of public servants. But what we also encourage citizens is that let's use the platforms that are there where there are complaints that we have about the service that we receive and the treatment that we receive, so that where necessary, appropriate disciplinary action can be taken against those public servants who do not adhere to the principles of Batubili. So it's an ongoing process. There are platforms that are out there. There is a presidential hotline in place that it's very busy. People make use of that hotline. And individual departments also have other mechanisms that they use, complaint handling mechanisms that they use, so that where necessary, appropriate disciplinary steps can be taken against such public servants.
Well, obviously, if me and you have an honest conversation, you would be able to appreciate the very same community members are saying that even though we utilize some of those public platforms that have been made available, unfortunately, the issue of time then plays a role. So in other words, you lodge a complaint, or this person, you're disgruntled by the treatment or the service of this individual, and it takes you months on end before you can actually get a direct response. How are we doing in terms of being able to curb those existing realities and also move the Batubili information system forward?
Well, again, I mean, let's look at the month ahead. That if you look at the programs that have been put in place for this month in particular, and this is just an example of a range of things that happened throughout the year, but we put a particular spotlight on them during the course of this month. We will have a number of principals who themselves will go to service delivery sites. Most of these visits to service delivery sites will be unannounced, so that they can find and experience firsthand what happens on a normal day at a service delivery site. A clinic, a hospital, a police station, a Tucson service center, a pay point of social grants, and so on. And by so doing, they will actually also be able to interact with members of the public there so that they can share their experiences with them. Secondly, we also going to have a program where we assign and deploy particularly senior managers from head offices, so that they can go to the service delivery sites, and as well as working with frontline staff there to intervene in problems that might exist on site. But you're right. I mean, when it comes to the issues relating to the platforms, reports that are received from the presidential hotline, you'll see the turnaround time have been improving in terms of responding to concerns that are being raised. Reports that are generated from the Public Service Commission, the National Anti-Corruption Hotline, we see improvements in the response rate to complaints that are being generated, including allegations of corruption where those exist.
Well, thank you very much, Mashwahle, for joining us this morning, and for really your patience as we tackle some of the gremlins that we've been experiencing this morning. Speaking there to Mashwahle Diphofa, who is from the Department of Public Service as well as Administration, as the Director General. They're looking at the launch of Public Service Month, and as mentioned before, for more information, go to their website, www.dpsa.gov.za. Especially when it comes to lodging complaints, make use of those platforms that have been made available to you. But it is time now to hand you over to Penny. She's standing by to make you a winner and give you some hope on this Wednesday.